mean, that was honestly, it's crazy. A lot of people are like, "What was it like meeting Joe?" And Joe's great, but I mean, I've been a fan of Graham for so long that, like, if you were to say who would you want to sit down with and talk, it would be like, well, David Gilmore or Graham Hancock. Those would be my two choices. So I was pretty happy when I got to meet him.
Another Pink Floyd reference. Oh my God. I mean,
Hell
I
yeah.
cannot believe how many, I was a huge Floyd fan in
Oh.
the 80s, and I can't believe how many people in my 50s I meet that love Pink Floyd.
Now, and you think about when metallurgy became a thing, and that first generation, how many little subtle things of literally millions of years of passing this trick down, passing this trick down, passing this trick down, and it all got lost in a generation or two. See, I think that a lot of the things, if we were to watch those guys go to town on a stone, if we were to, I think a lot of it would be like, I don't know how much you guys know about baseball, but you know, you don't put a lefty on third, you put him on first, right? And you do that for a reason, and you don't know that reason if you don't play baseball or don't pay any attention to it. And if you do, you're like, well, but if you're ignorant about it and you sit down and somebody explains to you, you do that because they're quicker to throw here and they're quicker to catch there. You're like, oh, well, duh, no shit. I think that's exactly how we'd look at it. We'd just be like, why didn't I think of that? Well, you didn't have the benefit of millions of years of father to son passing this down experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what were you going to say before I interrupted you about Easter Island and the small pyramids, I think?
Oh, those different styles of when you see the rocks that are, it does tie into this actually. When you see those rocks that you're wondering how they did it, when it looks like you're showing the Menkaure's pyramid where they're smoothing it out and it doesn't really look like they're just chiseling the pieces away. It almost looks like it's like being scooped away or sanded away slowly, right? Which wouldn't make a lot of sense. There is a mystery there. Now, like this goes back to where we've pretty much started the conversation with them letting kind of leaving these open doors for conspiracy. It's by neglecting to address that mystery, by neglecting to say, yeah, that's pretty fucking weird, guys, we don't know how this happened, by just saying, you know, hand carved, walk away. It's like, dude, you can do that, but then this happens. All right. You get fucking ancient aliens and then you're going to cry about it and call us all racist. Well, I got an idea. Why don't you do your fucking job? Go out there, be skeptical and not cynical, and figure this out. I mean, to me, Sacsayhu Aman is probably the one that just, because the tech level of these guys is supposed to be so poor. And you look at how much effort would have gone into just getting the stones there, let alone the making them all perfectly flat and angled and stacked. And it's one of those sites that you can't say for certain that it is a sunken city. Things like that look very compelling. There's parts of it's the layout isn't nearly as neat and organized as the one in Cuba. Like we don't have these kinds of shots in Cuba. We have just the big LiDAR ones, the big sonar ones. But that's that one right there with the two next to each other with the black and white on the left. That one right there.
This one right here or this one?
That one right there. Yes, that shows. That's another pretty good one of the sonar image and how they used it to construct the pyramids next to it. But that one on the right is just bullshit. That was just made up.
Well, but, the thing is, it's everywhere. I mean, that's the one that's everywhere. I mean, it really is kind of discouraging.
It's because it's like I was saying earlier, it's nice to make a narrative, right? So I even use that image as one of the images in my thumbnail because it is what when people are looking for the Cuba and underwater city, that's what they're looking for. But yeah.
Now this one here says Cuba, but this looks more like the Japanese one.
Yeah, that is Yonaguni. That's not
Yonaguni.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
So my thing on this has always been that we find so many sunken cities in the Mediterranean, and so you know, there's just these sunken cities everywhere that it just seems to whatever happened, you know, whether it was an asteroid impact at the end of the Younger Dryas or whether shocks. Or maybe you disagree with this stuff, but whatever made the meltwater melt at the end of the ice age is, you know, everyone seems to agree that it would have rose sea level by 400 feet. And when we look around now, we see that like 80 to 90% of people are living within that 400 foot mark on the coast. Definitely enough that if the water came up, the rest of us would be back to the Stone Age.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Imagine if you look at the United States, if you raise the water 400 feet, we lose almost all of our major landmarks, almost all of our major industry. I mean, there's a lot that would survive, but I mean, the entire eastern seaboard's gone. New York City, all that shit's gone. All the West Coast is gone, and so you end up with a situation where 10,000 years from now, about the only things you would still have left potentially would be like Mount Rushmore and maybe a couple of the dams. And beyond that, you probably wouldn't have a whole lot to tell you that we were here. Besides, I mean, there's plastics and stuff like that, but as far as like big things go, it's clearly if they did use plastics back in those days, the ones they did were a lot more biodegradable than the ones we have apparently. But I don't think they did. Right? I'm again above the opinion that their tech level wasn't really way out there. I just think that it was better than they're given credit for by a large margin. But I think that's something, honestly, that I think that's one of the places where science is just kind of typically like that paradigm. They'll try to hold on to that so hard that it'll at times will make them stupid. Like, you guys know the Heliopile, I believe it's pronounced. It's a Greek steam engine, ancient Greek steam engine. If you don't mind, pulling the picture. It's AELOPHILE, I believe. Sorry, it's worth seeing because it's like before the time of Christ, and it's a rotating sphere with two jets on it, and they'd fill it with water and light a fire under it, and then the steam would drive it in a circle. And the mainstream narrative, the sources that tell us it exists and stuff, everybody believes that it was a toy. It was just something that, these guys, they messed around with and they had fun with. Yeah, there you go. It was just a toy, just a novelty. And I have a real hard time with that. These are people that had to spin stuff to make fire, spin stuff to grind their bread. They had to spin stuff to do everything, right? I think that thing spinning faster than anything they'd ever seen spin in their life in a perfect circle would have probably inspired some guys to start fucking with tools and trying to build stuff with it. And we know that they had pretty complicated gear sets because we have seen the Antikythera mechanism. I'd want to see them doing Egypt for sure. I'd want to see that. I was talking about the History Channel. Sorry, there was a thing I saw on there where they talked about, I want to say Herodotus, and he was like making all of these weird gadgets for plays, and it like gear-driven boxes that would be filled with sand.